am Steve as always, and this time we are making something that was suggested by a lovely person from Lithuania that I met, and we got chatting about cookery and cakes, and they told me that there is a honey cake or Medutis, and it sounded really cool, so I decided let's give it a go. So what you need is 100 grams of butter, then 200 grams of caster sugar. I have light brown sugar just because I think the flavor could be a bit nicer. 3 tablespoons of honey, 3 eggs, lightly beaten, 3 teaspoons, not tablespoons, sorry, of baking soda, 400 grams of plain flour, 1.2 liters of whipping cream or sour cream, because the cream element of this is supposed to be a bit sour because the cake bits that we're going to make are fairly sweet. Then 5 tablespoons of caster sugar, 3 to 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. Sadly, I just noticed my lemons were off, so no lemon juice there, but I have a bit of acid there, and zest of lemons to make it even more lemony. So first, let's get our 100 grams of butter, and as always, as you can see here, there are lovely lines where you can kind of measure out the 100 grams. So this is going to help me do it. So, and I've already popped a pot onto the stove, because we are going to melt together our butter, our 100 grams of butter, our 200 grams of caster sugar, and our honey. So I have my 100 grams of butter. I'm just gonna chop that down a little bit more so it melts nicer and a bit faster. So something like this. I just like to chop it down, you know, because I took it fresh out of the fridge, so it's kind of cold. So I'm going to put my knife away. Then let me measure out my 200 grams of sugar. Oh, I just need a pair of scissors to open the packaging. So 200 grams of sugar. Yeah, great. Tiny bit more, but that's okay. At least in my eyes, it's okay. So with light sugar, or you know, if you use something different than the white sugar, then you might need to just smush down a little bit. I'm gonna put that in with my butter, as you can see here. And then I'm gonna need the 3 tablespoons of honey. So let's get that here. Should be fairly visible here, or fairly well visible here. So look at that. 1. And yes, we adhere to social distancing rules and masks while chatting. If anybody here wants to put that into the comments. How dare you talk to some other person outside in these times and in this climate? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pause this for a moment, this video, so I can melt the honey down and sugar, and then I'll be right back. Or, yeah, so it doesn't burn. So I'll see you guys in a second. For me, it'll be a few minutes. So I have melted the sugar, honey, and butter now in a heat-proof bowl, as you can see here. Still very hot, and I'm just going to leave it on the pot for now and just turned it down. So next I'm going to measure out my flour. So I need 400 grams of plain flour. So So, and 3 teaspoons of baking soda. Oh yeah, that's about right that I have here. So let's just get rid of my packaging. So now that we have the dry ingredients over there in a bowl, I'm just going to use my whisk real quick just to mix the baking powder and flour together. So that's that. Now what you need to do is crack your 3 eggs and lightly whisk them. I'm using organic eggs, but of course, like you can use free-range eggs if you'd like. If you can stay away from caged eggs, then not only I, but also all the chickens probably would appreciate that a lot. So now let's quickly beat those eggs in here. Always try to move your whisk about a little bit, because then, as you can see, the air bubbles form a little bit quicker, I always feel. So now I have my mixture beaten here. So let me just unlock my iPad. Okay. So now let's get our bowl off of the pot and over here. I have the oven preheating, by the way, at 200. So let's just put that here. As you can see, I'm making a mess, but that's okay. That is okay. Just need to wipe it off, because that is egg, and don't want it to be too runny everywhere. Okay, let's remove this, because I kind of actually need that area. So I'm quickly going to put a bit of disinfectant spray on a bit of kitchen towel and disinfect that area. So, oh, there's an awful lot on the bottom of this here. Okay, so, we've cleaned it down now, so, and I will wash this here. Okay, but as we all always know, these things happen, you know, and they're just accidents that happen. But let's continue here. As you can see, our mixture is slightly cooling down. That's why the butter is slightly starting to separate. It's almost a bit like making butterscotch sauce. So, where's my iPad? Here. So, now we need to mix in our lightly beaten egg. I'm just going to try to be as quick as I can so the heat doesn't curdle it. So, and I'm still not sure if mixing together dry ingredients and wet ingredients first actually makes a big difference. But most recipes suggest it, you know, so I'm guessing that there must be some reason for it. Okay, that's now nicely incorporated. So let's get the spoon out, because I will use the whisk now. Okie dokie. So now that we have our dry ingredients mixed and our wet ingredients mixed, I'm going to mix both together so they form a nice dough. And like I said, it's going to be a fairly sweet cake, you know, so let me just get my rubber spatula, and then I will get all of the sugary honey goodness out and just put that to the side. And I'm just gonna whisk over here until I have my dough. So yeah, it can take a moment, but that's okay. We're not going anywhere, aren't we? We're baking. And sometimes in baking, or baking generally, takes time, you know. So now almost all flour is incorporated, and as you can see we have this lovely kind of honey colored dough going on in our bowl, and it is a bit sticky, but that's okay. Shouldn't be too sticky though, but a little bit stickiness is okay. And if it's like, it is a bit too sticky, right? If you know, next step is to divide the dough into 8 pieces, roughly. So let's just add a little bit more and go through it, and then we should reduce the stickiness of it, because I will have to roll this out a little bit. And if it's too sticky, I can't roll it out, of course. So, okay. Yeah. Well, I can't roll that out. So, more flour. But that's the nice thing, and maybe you guys also have similar experiences where cooking and painting is a lot alike, I feel, where you basically just, you know, you add a little here, you add a little there, and then yeah, and then you'll see what results you get, and then, you know, you can always, you know, add a bit more there. And that's fine. I just need to see that I get my dough off here, because I don't want to lose anything of it. Okay. Okay. That's probably maximum amount that you can get out. Just need to put in more flour. Maybe it's the heat today or something. It is quite warm. Even here in Ireland it is quite warm. You know, so let's see that we can shape a nice dough ball. Probably could have floured my hands, huh? So let's just dive in and make sure that we get every last bit into our bowl here. Is getting the right consistency or the right stickiness. It's not 100% there yet, but these things happen. You know, I don't mind it when it happens. I can always add just a tiny bit more flour, or well, sometimes a large quantity. Okay, it's still very sticky. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. So let's get the dough off my hand here, and here, and here, and here. So let's just make sure that we don't lose too much on my hands now. If we rub it together, maybe we'll get some more off. Dear, dear, dear. Okay. Well, if we can't follow the recipe to the T where it says to roll it out, because at the moment it seems a lot like the dough will stay sticky. That's okay. We can work with that too. Just need to get the dough off of my hands now. So I have my kitchen towel. Okay, let's see where we are, where we're at, huh? It seems that our dough is still very sticky, very, very sticky. It'll be a pain to roll that out, but you know what? We'll give it a go. Try to take something as a measuring device that you can replicate, right? So I've used a small blade of ours, of mine here, and yeah, so let's just see. It's only supposed to be 2 or 3 millimeters thick anyway, right? So I've just taken out a good sized ball here, and I have my rolling pin. Let's just make sure that we're all floured up. And it's going to be a layered cake. Okay, so let's see that I have the right size for my plate. Yeah, so I need a butter knife. I'm just going to follow along the lines of the plate. The good thing is, you know that because the dough is fairly soft, that I don't need much pressure on it here. And then when it is done, I'm just gonna try to get it off. Oh shoot, okay, well, let's try that again, huh? And again, like I always say, these things happen. These little happy accidents happen. And then we just do it again. So, let's flatten this out. Make sure we have a good bit of flour underneath. So, and that we don't stick on our table. So, is that big enough? It surely is. So let's try this again. And this time I won't apply any pressure onto the plate, just to make sure that it works out. I might actually use the flipper. So now let's get the plate off. That's okay. Looks much better now. And that then is easily something that you can replicate, you know. And the next bit is then to make sure that you don't lose your shape too much, like I have now for the first one. Oh dear, come on. So, it's still kind of round. So, and this will then go into the oven for 5 to 7 minutes, roughly. And then, you know, we'll make the cream and stack them later then when we're done. So, I'll see you in the bat of an eye. So, and we're back. As you can see, I have baked my lovely layers. So First, I'm going to put one layer down on the plate that I've selected. Yes, it's a Christmas plate, because this is a traditional Latvian dish for Christmas. So, now what you need is roughly 1.2 liters of whipping or sour cream, right? So I chose sour cream because I thought that it would be a more interesting flavor, I have to say, than just using normal cream. I'm sure it's fine with normal cream, don't get me wrong, but I'd say, or with whipping cream, but I'd say sour cream is just gonna be that much more flavorsome. So, and yes, it's 1.2 liters. So each of the ones that I have here are 200 milliliters. So I have 6 of those lovely pots of sour cream. And it's going to be quite a nice, lovely, creamy layer, each layer. So yeah, let's get ready for that, huh? And again, you can use 5 tablespoons of caster sugar. But if you're like me and you forgot to buy caster sugar because you assumed you had some, but not enough, just use light brown sugar. Gives it even probably a nicer flavor with the honey that's in the dough. It'll probably combine a bit nicer, I'd say. So, I actually thought maybe this week I'm going to make kolache again as well. Not on video, because you can already watch that video. But just this time I might make like Indian kolaches, like Indian flavored with sagaloo. So that's spiced spinach and potato. So let me just get rid of my packs here. Nice into recycling. So okay. Well, this is our sour cream, and there's a little bit now on my freshly washed. Yes, I washed everything down. That's okay. I'll just pour it down. So I wanted to say 5 tablespoons of caster sugar. Make sure to let these puppies cool down, because otherwise your cream will just melt, and you don't want that, you know. So 3, and let me kind of try to get it mixed in. And as always, I am using a bowl which is too small, but that's just my dad brain, I guess. And as you can see, again, like I've mentioned it, I think with almost all recipes that I've made here, this is something that you could do with your kids of most ages. Like there was nothing dangerous here that needed to be done, you know, so they can even be in charge of, you know, cutting the shapes. All you need to do is be careful with putting it into the oven and getting it out of the oven, and you know, that's about it. So yeah, have fun making this recipe with your kids. So let's get that nicely mixed. Great. If you have lemons, put in a good few lemon zests, like 2 to 3 lemons, and put in a bit of juice. For a bit of acidity, I sadly have to use this because I forgot to buy fresh lemons, because I didn't know that my lemons had gone off, which is slightly disappointing, but yeah. So if you use lemons, you will be tasting something that I'm missing this time. But ultimately, that's fine. So now that we've mixed our cream for the layers, let me get rid of my whisk. and get a fresh kitchen towel so I can dry my hands. And you can leave these plates actually for like 1 or 2 days before you assemble this, right? And this is a cake generally or traditionally served in a 12-dish meal that the Latvians have in the evening of Christmas Eve. So now we've put everything together. Try to make it like a sweet and sour flavor, okay? So, and if you have trimmings left, which I don't at this point or this time, you can always crumble them up and then use that on top as a literal crumble. So let's get this puppy assembled. So just gonna get some good dollops here, because as you can see, I have a lot of cream. So let's get spreading. So this is gonna be like a massive, almost cookie, huh? So don't press down too much. So another good dollop, and then afterwards, once I'm done, I'm gonna put it into the fridge. So let's get the next layer on. So I think I can dare to put a bit more on, huh? So just don't want to run out, but that's the risk I take with always making these for the first time. I could be running out at some point, but then I just need to make a bit more, which sadly this time is not that possible because I don't have enough sour cream for that. So yeah, so nice bit here. So next layer, and try to make the layers so that they don't come apart, you know, when you're assembling this. And then when you put it into the fridge, let it cool for probably 5 or 6 hours, okay? So that the cream can set a bit, or you know, and that when you cut it, it doesn't fall apart. So let's get this layer on. So, and yeah, that was a lot of fun to make this one, I have to say. So now let's get my last layer on, and then I'm just gonna scrape out every last bit of cream that I have. Because of the light brown sugar, I actually, from the photos that I've seen online, I feel like mine looks a bit nicer because it is a honey cake essentially, right? So, and using the light brown sugar, actually I feel has made it look more honey-like. So, and when you're icing, be careful not to dump it over. And yeah, a bit of dirty icing, you know, where you can just kind of, you know, go around like this and spread it from the middle at the top a bit more, so you have a bit of a droop on each side so that it slides down nicely. And yeah, and then just use your spatula and go along the sides, and yeah. So it looks a bit more messy than it actually is, you know, and who cares about a bit of mess, huh? So as you can see here, that's our end result. Yeah, I'm quite happy, and I'm looking forward to cutting this puppy up. And like I said, if you have a bit of dough left, you can just bake it on the side and then crumble it over, and then you have a nice crumbly top. So if you like what you see here, and if you like my other videos, why don't you click like, subscribe, the little bell, follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. on Project D.A.D. And yeah, why don't you head on over to the Patreon link below in the description and maybe support me, and I can, you know, do even more things for you. And like I was saying, most of the proceeds will go to a savings account for my son, but everything else will be used for, you know, ingredients, and if I ever need to upgrade, you know, some of my stuff here. But otherwise, as always, thanks for watching. I'm your Steve, and I am out.